These two shapes are supposed to mean the same thing, but look at them. They don't even resemble each other. They don't even function alike. So how did a pumping organ become the universal language of romance? Instead of guessing, let's hear from the symbol itself. Hey Heart, tell us your story.
Hey, Heart here. You've used me for centuries to express love, but have you ever stopped to ask, why me? Why this shape? Long before I became this soft, symmetrical icon you see today, I was something very different. Something real but messy. I wasn't designed by doctors. I didn't come from anatomy textbooks. I mean, look at the real one. Tilted, uneven, and muscular. And here I am, a perfectly symmetrical imposter running the love department. Hilarious, right? Now, you might be wondering, where did I come from? Well, that's a story worth your time. And trust me, it's been waiting a long time to be told. Now, what if I tell you that other than sharing a name, I have almost nothing to do with the biological heart? And what would be your reaction if I tell you that actually my origin is a plant? Yeah, you heard me right. Long before, there was a plant called silphium. It grew in ancient Cyrene in North Africa. It was so valuable that people printed its image on coins. Yes, a plant was basically running the ancient economy. Why? Because it was believed to have powerful medicinal uses. But the real connection between me and that plant was the shape of its seed. It looked almost exactly like me. Now, you might be wondering, why would a plant seed come to mean love? Because silphium wasn't just medicine, it was widely used as a form of birth control. And that connected it directly to relationships, intimacy, and family planning. When something becomes tied to both emotion and daily life, its image spreads. As merchants carried coins across borders, they unknowingly carried me with them. And that's how I began to expand across cultures. Centuries passed, silphium disappeared, but I remained. By the time we reached medieval Europe, art was flourishing. Love was being written about, painted, celebrated. And naturally, artists tried to connect that feeling to the human heart. But they didn't have precise anatomy, no detailed medical diagrams, no scientific understanding of what the organ actually looked like. What they had was imagination and a simplified shape that had already begun circulating through culture. So when they drew the heart, they drew me, rounded at the top, pointed at the bottom, balanced and symmetrical. Not because they were careless, but because an artist always follows emotion, and I carried that. I was easy to repeat, to recognize, and to remember, and that made me powerful. I began appearing in manuscripts, in romantic art, in decorations, even on playing cards. And once a shape entered tradition, it became very difficult to replace. By the time anatomical accuracy improved, I was already culturally locked in. Now, you might be wondering how I came to be called Heart. Simple. The word already existed for the real organ inside your chest. When people started using my shape to represent it, metaphorically and emotionally, the name came along for the ride, and ever since, the word and shape have been inseparable. Some people like to get creative with my origin. They say my shape might resemble the natural curves of the human body, fertility and all that. Others see me as two swans facing each other. Charming, right? These ideas exist, but honestly, they're just interpretations. There's no strong historical evidence for them. Sure, symbolism often links to love and reproduction across cultures, but don't get carried away. Nobody actually designed me to perfectly mimic the human body. That's why historians give more credit to the plant and artistic evolution stories. Those are the ones that really explain me. By the Middle Ages, I was already common in romantic imagery. Artists, poets, and lovers were using me to show what words couldn't. Then came playing cards, and I was there too. Valentine traditions spread across Europe, and of course, I spread with them. But my real breakthrough happened in 1977. The I Love New York campaign turned me into a universal shorthand for emotion. Suddenly, everyone knew me, no explanation needed. After that, I went digital. Text messages, social media, emojis, billions of times a day I appear. A shape that started thousands of years ago now travels at the speed of light. Now, let me share the real, deeper reason for my survival. The human brains love balance. They remember simple shapes better than complicated ones, and when something feels warm, safe, and familiar, they hold on to it. And that's how I survived. Not because I was accurate, but because I was meaningful. And that's why I'm still here.
So that's the twist. We were comparing two completely different things. The heart we draw was never meant to represent the organ inside our chest. It was meant to represent what we feel inside it. And that changes everything. This is Whysdomia, where ordinary things get the stories they deserve. If this made you look twice at something you use every day, subscribe and stay curious, because once you start asking why, the world becomes a lot more interesting.